You've got no choice. You better be ready. College Hoops is here. We welcome you to the SEC on ABC. Columbia, South Carolina is the site. Our first of back-to-back women's games on ABC. We start with a top 25 matchup, Maryland and South Carolina. Let's go. It is an honor to be back with you, Courtney Lyle, alongside Hall of Famer Carolyn Peck, and a rematch of the Elite Eight. But both of these teams are going to look a lot different than when they met back in March.
Well, Maryland, they're healthy, and Brenda Freeze added a lot of size. South Carolina, 5 new starters in the lineup. And look, Dawn Staley said this is not a rebuild. You know what I call it? I call it a renovation. Why? Because with those 5 new starters, you've got size and dominance from Kamilla Cardoso. You've got Milaysia Fulwiley, the freshman who has put on a show. We saw that in Paris. You have Te-Hina that transfer in from Oregon, a true point guard running the point, and Raven Johnson. We loved her coming off the bench last year. She brought speed. Now she can move to that shooting guard position. That makes South Carolina very dangerous.
And Maryland is going to look a lot different too, but something that does not change is the one that makes this Terp ship go, and that is Cheyenne Sellers.
Cheyenne Sellers is a junior now, and she has grown up from her sophomore season. With Diamond Miller moving on to the WNBA, this is Cheyenne Sellers' team. That's a 6'2" point guard that we're going to get to watch. And against Harvard, not only 25 points, 7 assists. She did all of that with 0 turnovers.
You know a head coach loves to see that,
oh,
right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Maryland is healthy. They have added length. They are ready to face South Carolina, 2 of the top 15 teams in the nation. South Carolina controls the tip right into the hands of Raven Johnson.
Be interesting to see, how does Maryland defend the paint with the size of Kamilla Cardoso, and they've added that right there, the threat from the three-point line.
That's Te-Hina, the transfer from Oregon. Great distributor, great scorer, and you see the starting lineup for Maryland here. A healthy starting lineup. Lavender Briggs is good. Brene Alexander and Jakia Brown-Turner, a new face in this lineup.
And this is a face that played for NC State, and she was quick to remind her team she has a victory here in South Carolina when she played for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, she got a big smile on her face when she reminded us of that. And,
yeah.
Heard she's been mentioning that in the locker room a few times. Here's the South Carolina starting 5. Kamilla Cardoso, you cannot miss her at 6'7" in the paint, number 10 in white.
I like her mobility. I like her presence. What she showed in Paris, Cardoso, is she has a little more tenacity about her game.
That's a long 2 from Raven Johnson. Her foot was on the line, but South Carolina will take it.
The confidence South Carolina has offensively. No question marks of whether to play inside or out.
Are you surprised by that with all the new faces? As Cheyenne Sellers says, I'm here too.
I'm not surprised going back to South Carolina. Dawn Staley said when she looks back at the freshies that graduated last year, she said she wished she had allowed them to be a little more confident to make those kind of decisions of whether to get the ball inside or pull the trigger.
Kamilla Cardoso on the block. She played behind Aliyah Boston, but now she is that featured big down low for the Gamecocks. Aliyah Boston, the WNBA Rookie of the Year. Shot is off by Jakia Brown-Turner. Lavender Briggs corrals it. Brene Alexander was wide open by herself over on the other wing, number 5 in black, a transfer from Vanderbilt.
Brene Alexander had 5 threes in their last game against Harvard.
Look, shooter's gonna shoot. Taking it inside, Faith Massonis. Bree Hall back to Te-Hina. Hall lets it fly. Bottom.
You know what I see? There's no question mark. They know the guards of South Carolina. They have the green light to shoot it if they catch it in rhythm, and they're open.
Massonis with a 3 attempt. It's short. It'll be South Carolina basketball.
And Massonis now with Cardoso having to come out of the paint, looks to score against size off the bounce. And then Bree Hall knocking down the 3. There was no question mark when she lined up to take that shot.
South Carolina has hit their last 3 field goal attempts.
Maryland in a zone, really trying to protect the paint. In the Elite Eight, that is where South Carolina dominated.
They were trying to get it to Chloe Kitts. That goes out of bounds, and Brenda Fries fired up about what her defense was able to create that turnover.
When we talked to Brenda last night, we talked about South Carolina in the Elite Eight, the advantage of 22 rebounds. How do you really balance that out? And she said, you know, you're not going to grow, you're not going to catch the size of Cardoso, but what you've got to do is you got to attack. You got to try to run.
So Chloe Kitts is fouled. Dawn Staley, in her 16th season, she has built a powerhouse at South Carolina, brought them their first 2 national championships, back to the Final Four again last season. 5 Final Four appearances in the last 8 NCAA tournaments.
She has built something here in Columbia.
Taken away, Schellers comes out of the pile with it. Pushing the floor for Maryland. Sellers thought about feeding it inside to Ali Kubak, who is back healthy, had a torn ACL in the preseason and missed all of last year. Brenda Fries told us she really likes this group, though. It's got to be nice, too, when you have a healthy team.
Right, that helps.
22nd season as Maryland's head coach, won a national championship in 2006. Te-Hina Pow, top of the key, and it's rebounded by Lavender Briggs.
I think one of the things that Brenda Fries likes is when you have big guards that can do multiple things, scoring inside, scoring outside, gives you that versatility.
Jakia Brown-Turner playing for her home state school. 4 seasons at NC State before transferring to Maryland.
Her dream school was Maryland, but there was just a loaded roster when she came out of high school, so she was thrilled for the opportunity to come home.
Her parents, her family, about 35 minutes away from Maryland's campus, so they can come to all the home games. This is going to be Terrapins basketball.
Maryland is battling with South Carolina on the glass.
Maryland +2 on the boards right now. Always a number to watch when you play a team like South Carolina that's got that height. Pow pushing up ahead to Raven Johnson. Pull up in the short corner, bounces around and out. Sellers to Briggs. Sellers all by herself, had plenty of time, can't get it to fall. +2.5 minute scoring drought for the Gamecocks. And Kitts' pass inside goes up off the backboard. And under 5 minutes to go, Maryland up by 1. We take a look at some magic moves from a South Carolina freshman when we come back to Columbia. Early on here in Columbia, Maryland on top of South Carolina 8-7. Well, I don't know if the freshman broke Twitter or X or whatever it's called, but she was close to doing that on Monday, playing Notre Dame in Paris. This move, Coach Peck, my gosh.
Well, to hear you describe it every time you see it, you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
This is a freshman. The composure, the swag to her game that she brings, but I like this one. I'll show it to you and then bring it back. It wasn't just the behind the back. She showed it and then went. Yeah, Magic Johnson loved that.
Yeah, Milaysia Fulwiley, the number 13 overall player, Magic Johnson was watching, tweeted about how great this move was. He wasn't the only one, too. How about KD? Kevin Durant getting in on the action. Hannah Hidalgo also was so much fun to watch for Notre Dame in that game.
Look, KD tells you where to go to see the best women's basketball, and that's to ESPN or ABC like we're on today, but he was thoroughly impressed with the show he saw from Paris.
And Milaysia Fulwiley, number 12 in white, is now on the floor for South Carolina. Te-Hina Pow trying to go baseline. It's short, and Maryland wants to run. Jakia Brown-Turner. Back up top to Bree McDaniel, and there's a travel called on Cheyenne Sellers.
Well, prior to that timeout, Maryland has done everything they've wanted to do. They have not fouled South Carolina. They are +1 in rebounding. They've kept it even with points in the paint, and they're up 2-0 with second chance points.
Their defense has kept South Carolina from scoring for the last 3+ minutes. Fulwiley in the corner, in and out. Sellers with the board. And that's going to be a foul on Milaysia Fulwiley, her first.
Maryland sitting in that zone are really now challenging how much confidence does South Carolina have from the perimeter. So as long as South Carolina is missing from out there, not shooting a high percentage from there, they're going to sit right there and keep the ball out of the paint.
Now you want to do that because Kamilla Cardoso had 20 points and 15 rebounds in their first game in the paint. Fulwiley gets it back. Ashlyn Watkins gives it right back to Fulwiley. Here she goes. Over the defense. Count it! Freshman on the big stage. Fearless.
From the time that Fulwiley gets the basketball back, she runs by, look, she went by 2, 3 people and focus with the finish. Wow.
So good we went to black.
I think somebody passed out.
McDonald's All-American, had over 3,000 points in her high school career. She's from Columbia, South Carolina. And you hear the fams, as they call them, in Colonial Life Arena getting loud. Jakia Brown-Turner. Looking to get past Ashlyn Watkins. Hesitates, pulls up, misses. Pow to Fulwiley, and that's going to be a charge on Milaysia Fulwiley, and that'll be her first.
Don Staley said this freshman's going to make some mistakes, but she always, when it's game time, comes hard. And Staley said she's going to allow Fulwiley to play through some of those mistakes because she doesn't want to take away from the confidence and the assertiveness that number 12 has.
She will take a seat now with the 2 fouls. Sellers giving it up to Brown-Turner. Bree McDaniel making room but overshoots. Kamilla Cardoso short, and it'll be Maryland ball. Foul is on Ashlyn Watkins, her first. Pace in this game. If they're going faster, who does that benefit?
It benefits South Carolina to go fast, to control the pace the way Maryland has done so far, really executing in the half court. If they can control the pace, that really favors the Terps.
Jakia Brown-Turner looking sweet.
Coming back to the left, that catch and post-up isolated one-on-one. That's huge.
Raven Johnson, top of the key. In and out, rebound by Bree Hall. Put back in the lane, and 6 paint points now for South Carolina.
Well, that's the thing. When you play the zone, force the outside shot, but it's tough to rebound.
Hall takes a hard fall, no foul, and look at Sellers' work.
Hey, Diamond Miller, what? Giant Sellers said, I got you, Diamond. I'll take up where you left off.
I mean, that is a big piece to lose. Diamond Miller, who was the #2 overall pick in the WNBA draft.
If there's anybody that can get the ball to Kamilla Cardoso, it's Raven Johnson.
Her roommate.
Look, they've been playing together for 7 years. All the way back to travel ball.
Bree McDaniel. 14 all here in the first quarter. Pow in the corner. Shaking the defense. Floater, no. Bree McDaniel working hard on both ends, too, for Maryland.
That was one player that Brenda Freese talked about last night. It's been huge coming in for them this season.
There's McDaniel, number 24 in the black jersey. Sophomore out of Chicago. Pulls up at the elbow, no. Things slow down, Pow wide open. Well, coming up next, we mentioned it, this is our first of back-to-back games on ABC, our first of a triple header on our ESPN family of networks. UConn with Paige Beckers, who is back, will face NC State when we're done here in Columbia. Then later tonight on ESPN, Indiana and Stanford. What a time, what a day for women's basketball. I love these matchups.
Oh, it's exciting. And it was Khadijah Sessions, the assistant for South Carolina, said this is like having March in November.
And I'm here for it.
Oh, all about it.
Under a minute to go, no basket. Cheyenne Sellers trying to sell it.
Yeah, Hall got her before she got into the act of shooting. That was early. Sorry, Cheyenne.
First foul on Bree Hall. Maryland has brought in Hawa Dumbuya, number 20. Brenda Freeze told us they may see her. She's got good size inside to battle South Carolina's length. We'll say she got it over to Jakia Brown-Turner for the points.
When you're playing South Carolina and you've got size on your team, you got to use it.
This one's already been fun, and we're just wrapping up the first quarter.
This is what you want. Ranked teams matched up.
Johnson pulls up, lays it down. Tessa Johnson, the freshman from Minnesota. Sellers wants to get this shot off at the clock. It won't fall, and how fitting. We are tied up at 16. When we come back, the WNBA Rookie of the Year, Aliyah Boston, will join us at the table. Tied at 16. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back here in Columbia, South Carolina, we are tied at 16, and we are honored to be joined by the WNBA Rookie of the Year, a national champion, the National Player of the Year, Aliyah Boston.
Hi.
It is, I will say, it's a little weird that you're over here and you're not out there playing.
I know, it's insane. We're sitting on the side and we're still talking to them. We're like...
You were doing that in practice yesterday. Will you ever break that habit?
I can't help it. I can't help it. It's just like, once I'm there in front of the court, I just have to talk. I don't know. It's like automatic.
I love it, though. So what do you think about this year's group? It's very different from the group that you guys had last year.
Very different. But I think, I was just telling them yesterday in practice, I was like, they have such a talented team. I mean, they're able to push pace. They have people that are just so versatile. And I think that's going to help them in the long run, especially being able to guard different teams with smaller people.
Can we go back to your conversation with the team at the end of practice? Because I loved how real you were with them and talked about the intensity you have to have in practice.
Absolutely. I think that's something that sometimes people don't necessarily focus on, is how intense they are in practice, when that's really, I mean, practice is how you get the game feel. Good job, Tessa! Sorry. And it's just, I was just talking to them about what it's like to be on the next level and how every single day you cannot take a possession off. And so I was just trying to help them understand that part of it.
And you talked about communication, too.
Yes!
Look at Ashlyn Watkins come in and swipe that ball away. It's all right. You're here watching your team.
Oh, my gosh.
She got up. She
got up. She literally sent it out there. That is wonderful.
That was kind of a block shot like Aliyah Boston.
No, Ash is different. Ash is a different beast, okay?
How have you seen her get better?
I mean, her willingness to want to work. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, we've just seen so much progress. Her just being able to attack, shoot the jumper, shoot it with confidence.
Bree Hall will take the shot here. It's off to the left and put back by Ashlyn Watkins. Falls in.
Stop! I'm so sorry. You guys probably need to take me off this mic. I literally am cutting everyone off. You guys probably are going to shut it down right now, but that's okay.
No, I wanted to ask you, Aliyah, how did Dawn Staley, how did this program get you ready and help you have success in your first year in the WNBA?
You know what I talk about in my free time? Because I literally was talking and I said, when I got to Indiana, I felt so prepared. I did not feel like I was missing anything important. Just continuing to work on my game, but I felt so ready. Like, I was game ready, and Coach Staley helped prepare us, like, honestly.
What was the biggest difference from college to the WNBA?
The pace of the game, the conditioning. I think just being able to do that. Flash! Just being able to do that, I think, is the biggest thing. just because it's hard. I mean, you prepare in college, you have a different pace, but then you get to the league and it's like, honestly, sometimes it's the first shot. If you're open, you got to be able to run the floor and get that. I mean, that's definitely the biggest thing.
Jakia Brown-Turner with the miss, but Raven Johnson comes down with the rebound.
All right, I'm going to let you, Aliyah, you play-by-play. I mean, you're the color.
Oh, my God. No.
Yes.
You guys need to take this mic from me. Good job, Sanaya.
You got a game coming up.
See, I'm out here cheering. I can't do that.
You're right.
All right.
That's my problem. That's
we can
why
let you go if you want to go back.
Let me go.
Okay, if you want to go and watch your team. Well, Aliyah, thank you so much for your time.
Of course. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The love and passion, Aliyah Boston is going to always have that for the Gamecocks.
Man, you can tell. I mean, she wanted to get back over and watch her team play. We appreciate her time. But just like Aliyah was talking about South Carolina, how they get you ready. I mean, Maryland has a very rich history, too, of sending players to the WNBA. Like we talked about, Diamond Miller going the 2nd overall pick behind Aliyah Boston.
Abby Myers as well from last year's team for Maryland. Crystal Langhorne, she's one that she and Marissa Coleman, Christy Tolliver, you know, all of those are great players that came out of the Maryland program.
You see the most first-round draft picks in WNBA history. Dawn Staley and Brenda Fries right there with a, wow, what an impressive list. Sanaya Fagan just off the fingertips, the pass from Raven Johnson.
Well, not only is Aliyah Boston here, but Asia Wilson is also in the house. 2-time WNBA champion.
Casually has a statue outside.
Yeah, she's sitting there with Tiffany Mitchell,
whose jersey was retired before the game. Sellers back to Ali Kubek. Johnson at the free throw line. Raven Johnson almost had a steal. Faith Masonis able to regroup.
Love how Cheyenne Sellers sees the floor. She knew Masonis was going to be there right on time.
It's the specs.
Oh,
Superpowers.
I am all about the specs, and she said she's got several different colors. They don't have yellow, but maybe they can come up with that.
I would think so. Come on.
Right?
Yeah. They're magical. Did you hear that pretty sound, Bree McDaniel?
Really improved from her freshman season. A lot of confidence on the floor.
Tessa Johnson in the corner. Rebound by Lavender Briggs.
Thought we were going to get a heat check from McDaniels.
Sellers smooth, but off the mark. It'll be South Carolina ball.
This is a strength that has been in the past of Maryland, the ability to shoot the three when the opportunity presents itself. Brenda Fries wants her team to pull the trigger.
Bree McDaniel, she's one of those players that came on late in March for Maryland. She built on that over the summer, and Brenda Fries told us she's their best one-on-one defender right now. It's not just the offensive piece that got better.
Well, that's how you earn your way on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you can score it now, if you can defend, you're going to get some time.
Johnson in the short corner. She goes up and is fouled.
What South Carolina has, similar from last year, is depth on their bench. So you have Tess Johnson, who's coming in, a freshman, McDonald's All-American, won the three-point shooting contest.
Well, Jakia Brown-Turner just picked up her second foul. It sends Tessa Johnson to the free throw line.
We asked Dawn Staley, what was the difference in these freshmen coming in than that senior class that had so much success? And she said, this class is thinking a lot. And it's hard to compete when you're still trying to learn to put it all together. It'll come in time. You just have to be patient.
Jakia Brown-Turner, Brenda Fries leaves her on the floor with 2 fouls. She pays her off with a 3. Inside to Cardoso, misses. That was a bugaboo for South Carolina last year. They had a lot of open shots under the basket and sometimes couldn't finish the layup, the easy bunny.
You gotta finish those, given in the paint. I think Cardoso will get used to that. She's got to get used to now. She is the center of attraction.
Chloe Kitts. South Carolina had missed their last 5 shots before that, but Maryland pushing down the floor the other way. Blocked by Cardoso. Pow to Kitts. Back-to-back buckets for Chloe Kitts. Silences the crowd.
And Kubak's got to knock down that shot in order to make Cardoso come out of the paint. That will open up other drive opportunities.
Brenda Freeze is so excited to get Aliyah Kubak back. Milaysia Fulwiley, bank shot!
Let's go. I am loving this back and forth.
To the corner, McDaniel. Get out of here!
Shoot 'em up.
Big bucket after big bucket. Pow. Bang, bang.
I'm going to tell you, South Carolina's going to make Maryland have to come out of that zone the way they're shooting it.
Masonis going to the basket. Brene Alexander coughs it up. And then a foul called on Brene Alexander. And Asia Wilson, who helped put this program on the map, a statue outside of Asia Wilson. She's watching her Gamecocks right now in a battle. We are tied at 31. Andrea, thank you. Yeah, for Drea's point, Maryland, 68% of their points have come from 3 today.
Well, you have Brene Alexander, who has really put in the work, both she and Lavender Briggs in the offseason, that they wanted to be shot ready when it came to being open on the 3-point line, and then adding Jakia Brown-Turner from NC State. She is 2 for 2 from the 3-point line.
She's hit 2 threes. Cheyenne Sellers has hit 2 threes, along with Bree McDaniel off the bench for Maryland. South Carolina 3 for 11 from 3-point land.
Look, Brene Alexander told us last night everybody wanted to know how they were going to stop South Carolina, how they're going to stop Kamilla Cardoso, and Brene said they got to worry about stopping us.
7 threes in the first half, I'd say so.
I like how Cheyenne Sellers directing traffic, commanding at the point guard spot.
And Cardoso is going to be whistled for her first foul. 13th Annual State Farm Champions Classic is Tuesday at the United Center in Chicago this year. Number 2 Duke, number 4 Michigan State, both trying to rebound after losses in our first game at 7 Eastern. Then we will have the exclusive reveal of the next college football playoff top 25 rankings. After that, Kentucky squares off against Kansas.
Can we go football?
Do you have something to say about Washington?
I do.
Yeah.
I really like Washington and what they've done. They're undefeated. They've already beaten 3 ranked teams, and I think Georgia
goes to number 1.
Goes to number 1.
Carolyn Peck with your football analysis.
Look, when your husband is a football junkie, you have no choice.
I love it. I would agree with you. Tessa Johnson, rainbow arcing 3. Going back the Gamecocks' way. Te-Hina Pow puts it up and she hits her second. Maryland takes a timeout. Tessa Johnson, the offensive end, but then the defensive end to back it up.
Well, that's a requirement here at South Carolina is you're gonna have to play defense. You can't just worry about your shot, but that's what South Carolina has. Threats around the perimeter and the willingness to share the basketball. They have confidence in each other and they are willing to share the sugar.
South Carolina has hit 4 of its last 5 3-point attempts.
Mixed up with the full court pressure too, and that's what you've got to do with a team that can shoot the ball like Maryland. Give them less time to get the shots they want.
If you're in that Maryland huddle during that timeout, what are you talking to this team about?
Take care of the basketball, because when you get shots, you're able to score it, but you cannot have empty possessions.
Cardoso streaking down the court. And it goes off the back of the backboard as she was trying to save it. Kamilla Cardoso just 2 for 4, only taking 4 shots because Maryland's made it really hard on her.
Definitely so, and I think one of the reasons is the length of Maryland really taking away what the ball can see and getting the ball inside.
When you say length for Maryland, they're not as tall as South Carolina. What are you talking about?
Well, you've got a 6'2" point guard in Cheyenne Sellers, so when you're talking about length, your arm length, the pressure that you are able to apply defensively.
Seven turnovers now for Maryland.
You know, Don Staley has the luxury of always keeping 2 point guards on the floor at a time. You got Raven Johnson and Te-Hina Pow. Then you have Fullwiley coming in off the bench.
Chloe Kitts. Off balance shot, and Chloe Kitts gets it to fall. She's going to the free throw line too.
You know, Kitts came in last year in December, an early enrollee. She has taken advantage of being able to get into the weight room, to adjusting to the physicality of the game. And Don Staley said, look, she's earned that starting spot at the 4 spot because of her consistency and her tenacity.
Cheyenne Sellers was whistled for the foul there. Minute 20 before the half. Cheyenne Sellers waiting to inbound. Sanaya Fagan checks in and replaces Kamilla Cardoso.
The athleticism in the post for South Carolina allows them to switch, allows them to be agile enough to rotate over, but too late right there.
Cheyenne Sellers, she said, you know, I'm not going to go outside of myself to try to make up for what they lost in Diamond Miller and several other players. She's just going to be herself, and Te-Hina Pow packed her shot when she drove to the gym today. That's 3 3-pointers.
Look, she brought that shot from Oregon. She had shown
it's a heck of a trip.
Oh, yeah. Look, she was all Pac-12, 2 years, first team for the Oregon Ducks.
Gets driving in and draws the foul. It's on Ali Kubek, her second.
Sellers, the decision, the patience of waiting for the opportunity to present itself to get all the way to the rack. Well, Maryland making the decision to go small ball right now.
And Bree McDaniel checks in. She's given Maryland some really nice minutes. Chloe Kitts at the free throw line. Drops in the first. Put back by Fagan. Shot clock still on. About a 4-second difference. Sellers guarded by Johnson. Ten seconds. Kitts with the rebound. Bree McDaniel tried to get in there and take it away, but she's going to be whistled for the foul. 8.3 on the clock.
Impressed with Kitts and her ability and willingness to get in there and mix it up, going after the basketball.
Chloe Kitts, a mid-year enrollee last year. Joined the team on December 13th, made 16 appearances.
Now, her first trip with the team was to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I was out there to call the game. And
what a trip.
She didn't think she was going to get in, and as Dawn Staley put her in, there was enough time, and they had extended their lead. So she was christened early to the Gamecock way.
Sanaya Ja will check in for the final 8.3, and Kitts will take a seat. For Maryland, in comes Riley Nelson, number 2 in black. Freshman out of Maryland, out of Clarksburg.
Now the full court pressure with 8.3 seconds. South Carolina, they want to press, but you don't want to foul. How disciplined can you be?
And one!
Ja was put into the game to bring a defensive presence. Able to get the turnover and then paid it off with the put in and getting to the free throw line.
It's the first foul on Lavender Briggs. That was 2 freshmen there for South Carolina on defense making the play. Tessa Johnson and Sanaya Ja. Can't finish the 3-point play. Sellers heaves it, not close. What a first half. Are you glad basketball's back?
Oh, it feels like March in November.
A 9-0 run for South Carolina over the final minute. They will take a 48-36 lead into the locker room. Maryland hits 7 threes. South Carolina hits 6 threes. Elle and Drea, man, this is fun. Let's get you back to the studio with Elle. Packed house here in Columbia. You're watching the SEC on ABC. South Carolina uses a 9-0 run to take a 12-point lead into the locker room at half. Their second-ranked opponent of the season. Pretty fun first half to be a part of. Courtney Lyle and Carolyn Peck with you. So let's talk about the 3-ball, because that seemed to be pretty prevalent in the first half. These two teams combined for 13 threes. Maryland had 7. How did they get those threes?
Well, what Maryland did is they were really intense about getting the ball into the paint. What they wanted to do was have Cardoso come out of the paint and then attack the paint to make the rotation have to happen. You watch Chloe Kitts bites in, and that leaves Bree McDaniel open for the 3. And then again, you've got Masonas, who is going to attack inside. And then Lavender Briggs is going to be the willing passer to make the extra pass, and Cheyenne Sellers knocks down the 3. Now Maryland on the other end, they were in a zone. So what did South Carolina do but move the ball around, make the defense have to shift, willing to give up a good shot for a great shot, and in that second quarter really got hot from the 3-point line.
Cheyenne Sellers from Maryland, 2 for 4 from 3. Te-Hina Paopao, 3 for 6 from behind the arc. Gamecocks ended on a 9-0 run, and all 10 players for South Carolina that played scored.
What you normally talk about with South Carolina is it's the defense. Well, they got some offense to go along with that this season.
We also talk about paint points. How many times have we done a South Carolina package on the 3-ball?
Right. How long's it been since we've had a package on the 3-ball for the Gamecocks?
So what do you want to continue to see Maryland do offensively here?
Well, they've got to continue to move the basketball, and they're taking great shots. They play so well together, and that's the thing Brenda Freeze talked about this team. There's not a go-to. You don't play Maryland and say, there's Cardoso inside, but you don't say, you got to stop Cheyenne Sellers, or you have to stop Renee Alexander. You got to stop them all. They all are threats offensively.
There's a foul coming around off the screen, and that foul is on Te-Hina Pow.
Talked to Brenda, I said, who would be the go-to? You know, late clock, who would be the go-to person? She had to think about it. She goes, I got a lot of different options.
It used to be just Diamond Miller.
Exactly. But now, early in the season, you have to really develop through experience who that person is going to be. And if this option is taken away, you can go to that option. And Renee Alexander.
She hit 5 3-pointers in their opener against Harvard. That is her first one tonight. But she told us, I talked to Renee Alexander yesterday after their practice last night, and she said, I've got to do what I do well consistently all the time, and that shoot the 3 is one of those big key points for her.
I recruited Renee Alexander out of Riverdale High School in Murfreesboro, and the reason that coaches all over the country were looking at Renee is because she has that it factor. She has averaged 9 points a game last season to go along with what Cheyenne Sellers and Lavender Briggs brought, but it's the confidence, it is the maturity that Renee Alexander has always had and played with, and she's team first, 100%. I love that about her.
She got a little edge on the court, Peck?
She gets it from her mama, yeah. Stephanie Davis, I'm gonna tell you.
Takeaway, Raven Johnson. The spin, bit short, Chloe Kitts is there to help, and her rebounding has been so important.
You know, when I looked at her body and her frame when she came in last season, I was like, is she ready to make this step? She has gotten her body ready, and she can play physical.
Hey, there's Renee Alexander in the corner.
She's a fierce competitor. She is not going to allow South Carolina just to pull this thing out without giving every ounce of effort she can.
Pow driving baseline. And it'll stay with South Carolina. Gamecocks up by 10 here in the 3rd quarter. Ellie Kubik checks back in, and she'll replace Faith Masonis.
That 2nd quarter, South Carolina turned their defense up. And I think that allowed them to extend the lead. Maryland has to take back control of the game, and they've got to take care of the basketball.
Kitts drives and kicks. Bree Hall steps into it. Make it 7 3-pointers now for South Carolina. Two from Breezy. Back to Alexander, guarded by Kitts. Into Cardoso. Brenda Freeze wanted a foul. And no whistle there.
I think the officials are given the benefit of 6-7. You're like, it's probably not a good decision to go in at her. You don't have a chance. But the 4 position for South Carolina, that's where the position Chloe Kitts has won, and she gets the ball inside. That's like a point guard for the South Carolina offense, making the decisions of what to do with the ball when it comes inside. You get it rotated, you get open looks.
Cardoso just picked up her 3rd foul. Guarding Sellers, a mismatch.
Well, how can Maryland take advantage when Cardoso has to come out of the paint to defend? You don't want to go straight at her unless you can go by her.
And that's going to be an offensive foul on Bree Hall.
Fans may not like it, but The new rule this year, there is no restricted arc. That arc that's on the floor, that's out of play this year. The only area where you can't take a charge is right underneath the cylinder. That was a good call.
They're right underneath the basket, so ignore the arc line on the court. That's for the men's game. They got rid of the lower defensive box, which was an imaginary box on the court.
Look at Chloe Kitts getting involved again.
That's 8 rebounds now for Kitts to go along with 10 points. Lane. Ashton Watkins elevates, drops it in the cup, and the foul called on Jakia Brown-Turner, her 3rd. You see the freshies courtside, the senior class from last year.
I think they're seeing the words of advice that they gave at practice yesterday now coming to fruition. You know, Ashlyn Watkins went to work in the offseason. She has gotten in tremendous shape. She's leaned out. Remember, as a freshman, she had the first dunk in South Carolina women's basketball history against Clemson. Dunk, I said.
She almost was a little offended yesterday. There was a lost in translation, first of all.
Right. I said, did she look lean? And
as a compliment.
As a compliment, and the message was delivered maybe too lean, and I didn't say that at all.
Well, she immediately came over and you clarified.
Oh, yeah, she was ready to step to it. I said, no, you look fit, and that's a compliment.
And Molly Benetti, their strength coach, has done a great job. It's going to be a foul on Bree McDaniel in the moving screen. Her 2nd. There's Molly Benetti, the strength coach.
Now, her ability to transform the bodies of these athletes to get them ready to play at this level and then at an elite level in college has been so impressive.
Johnson dumps it off to Watkins.
Look at Chloe Kitts get on the glass, young lady.
Her 9th rebound, give her 12 points now and put her at the free throw line.
Recognizing, reading, not hanging out at the elbow, but going to get it. And then the focus and the finish and get to the free throw line.
Career high in points and rebounds for Kitts.
Don Staley talked about how Chloe Kitts, that wasn't a given starting position. Kitts earned it. It's the consistent play, the tenacity that she plays with.
Well, and I want to mention it again, too. You said it. The 4 position for South Carolina is so important. They run everything through the 4. You're thinking of Aliyah Boston playing that position, how critical she was for South Carolina's success over the last 4 years.
There have been some great 4s. Alyssa Welch, that was the first one really that came in for Don Staley. Then you had Asia Wilson playing the 4 spot.
She's all right.
Yeah, you can't leave her out. She's got a statue out front.
I've seen it.
And then Aliyah Boston.
Raven lets it go. 8 3-pointers now for South Carolina. They are up by 20.
The 3 ball for South Carolina. Raven Johnson in the starting lineup. Eyes it, dots it, drops the 3.
How good do you think UConn can be this year?
Oh, I think they're phenomenal. Do you remember what Aaliyah Edwards did last season? She had a breakout bounce back from her sophomore season to her junior season, one of the most dominant posts in the game, and she's back as well, along with the experience that Nika Mule had when taking over. This team is going to be very dangerous, the UConn Huskies.
Again, UConn coming up at 3 Eastern here on ABC, taking on NC State. The bank and the bucket for Cheyenne Sellers out of the break. 15 points now for the point guard for Maryland. And Ashlyn Watkins responds.
Maryland may want to think about, without Cardoso in the game, going to a man-to-man because that zone, South Carolina has found the openings.
is blocked by Watkins, and then a foul on Ali Kubek, her third. We talked about the stars that these two programs had to replace. Two of the big names were Diamond Miller and Aliyah Boston, and #1 and #2 pick in the WNBA draft.
That's pretty good. Diamond Miller was drafted to Minnesota. She plays along with Tiffany Mitchell, a former Gamecock, and Aliyah Boston was at Indiana, but also Abby Meyer.
Yes.
She was drafted, as well as 4 other Gamecocks. She had Bree Beal, Victoria Saxon, Letitia Amihir, and Zaya Cook, also drafted in the WNBA from South Carolina.
I was on the edge of my seat making sure you got all of them.
I
was waiting for it.
It's our first game. I got to build that trust.
You got to build that trust, Coach. Lavender Briggs around the cup and out. Zakia Brown-Turner got the rebound, and she's going to be fouled by Ashlyn Watkins. Well, the ESPN Films' latest documentary, Candace Parker, Unapologetic, premieres tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. The documentary, an intimate and compelling look into WNBA superstar Candace Parker's journey through basketball and life in her own words.
Well, she's the GOAT on and off the court. Also, professionally in her broadcast career as well. I asked the question, what is it Candace Parker can't do?
I know. I remember the first time I saw her dunk playing at Tennessee. As growing up in Tennessee, we got to see Michelle Snow dunk as a Lady Ball. So then when Candace Parker came along wearing that #3, throwing down, wow, it was special.
But I can see you with your popcorn jumping up and down on the couch watching that.
Helped Tennessee to a couple of national titles, 2007 and 2008.
I think everybody in the WNBA is sitting on the edge of their seat waiting for the decision of whether or not Candace Parker makes the decision to come back.
Yeah.
I'm carrying around my rabbit's foot hoping that we get to see Candace Parker play at least another season. She said she would if she was healthy, and she said that was a big if. She wants to make sure that she doesn't cheat the game. I love that statement. Yeah. She just doesn't want to cheat the game.
It's 4 fouls on Zakia Brown-Turner, so she will take a seat. 12 points for Brown-Turner, 4 of 8 from the field, 5 rebounds.
I have been impressed with how South Carolina has entered this season. They looked pretty sharp in Paris against Notre Dame. They look to have the ability to handle the zone defense that Maryland has brought today and contributions from their bench.
Rockets 1 for 2. So we saw some interesting, obviously both of these teams in the top 15, but remember LSU lost its first game. Who do you expect to be #1 when the new poll comes out this week?
Well, I think the way that South Carolina has looked, I think it would be hard for the voters not to elevate them, Iowa, and to show that.
Are you saying elevate South Carolina to #1?
Yeah, I think when they said 6 to start the season, I was like, that was disrespect for the amount of talent that remained. And the voters, I don't think, had seen really what else South Carolina, the capabilities of what these players that could step into new roles do. Now that they've demonstrated it.
Shot drops in for Faith Masonis. I mean, I think Iowa has a pretty good argument, and UConn for being up there at #1, though, too.
Well, after knocking off Notre Dame, now knocking off, well, this game is far from over. I take that back. It's not even the 4th quarter yet. But if they were to hang on and knock off Maryland, oh, it'd be tough. But I think there's going to be some tough competition. Utah is looking really good.
Tessa Johnson won the McDonald's All-American 3-point contest and has not stopped shooting.
Let me tell you why I put South Carolina even above Iowa. Iowa demonstrated that they need Caitlin Clark to do a whole lot. South Carolina has demonstrated they got a lot of people that can do a little bit in each spot very well.
Hey, I will say it was pretty fun to watch Caitlin Clark drop 44 points.
Oh, in that game against Virginia Tech, she was trying to be the distributor earlier. Then she was like, oh, Virginia Tech wants to hang around. Let me put you away.
Her and Georgia Amore in a shooting contest.
What do you say? Hold my Pepsi?
Yeah. Cardoso dropping it off to Sanaya Fagan. Rebound by Kubek underneath. Kubek the trail off the front of the iron. South Carolina out rebounding Maryland by 10, and there's going to be an offensive foul on Tessa Johnson setting the screen.
Yeah, the ball handler, though, she's got to be set when she's going to set a screen. On that DHO dribble handoff, and Tessa Johnson was still moving.
Sellers short. Fagan hunts it down, throws it up to Raven. Turnover by Pow Pow. Sellers waiting to shoot at the elbow. That gives her 17. Coming off 25 points against Harvard. And this will stay with the Gamecocks. Under a minute to go here in the third quarter.
Don Staley still arguing that call. But I don't think Tess Johnson obtained her positioning in order to set that screen after her handoff.
Seconds for Pow Pow. Through traffic, so smooth. She told us she was looking for a place to be challenged more, to improve her game, to get ready for the next level when she entered the transfer portal.
Well, you asked her in where challenge, and she said, defensively, you don't get that challenge in South Carolina.
Riggs back in for Maryland. Sanaya Jaw checks back in along with Milaysia Fulwiley for the Gamecocks. 21.3 seconds left in the third quarter. Bree McDaniel taking over. 5 seconds for Raven. The dump off in time to Sanaya Fagan under the basket. They're going to double check this to make sure that Fagan released it in time, but the vision from Raven Johnson to see Fagan under the basket.
It looked good to me live. Oh yeah, it's well off her hands in plenty of time.
After review, the ruling on the floor of a 2-point field goal is confirmed.
So they confirm it, and South Carolina 77-59 with 10 minutes to go. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Before this game started, they honored one of their greats. Tiffany Mitchell was the first SEC Player of the Year at South Carolina, a 3-time All-American, the 2015 Don Staley Award winner, and she took the South Carolina program to its first Final Four appearance in 2015. They retired her jersey before this game. And, I mean, she was one that helped lay the foundation.
Well, there was nobody that set the example of how hard you had to play for 40 minutes than Tiffany Mitchell. She was the guard that was willing to get down and do whatever. If it was, you know, to stop on the perimeter or get downhill and get to the basket. I remember watching her, and she had a routine of how she came out to warm up. But when it's the NCAA tournament, you can't get on the floor because they have restricted time. Drove Tiffany nuts because she was just antsy to get on the court to compete.
It's incredible how many Gamecock legends we have in this gym right now.
No question.
With Tiffany Mitchell, Asia Wilson, Aliyah Boston, and the freshies. All courtside.
Asia Wilson has her shades on. Aliyah Boston hasn't gotten to that level. She still has the normal lenses in her glasses. But Asia Wilson had a phenomenal season, winning her second WNBA championship.
Back to back.
And won in game 4 by putting the team on her back because the Aces were playing without Chelsea Gray or Kia Stokes, 2 of their starters. And Asia Wilson said, no problem, we got this.
Fagan back to Cardoso. And that puts Cardoso into double figures. She's had help tonight, though. 3 players in double figures. Every player for South Carolina that has played has scored, all 10 of them. And that's a nice take by Lavender Briggs. If you're Maryland, how do you continue just to chip away here? You've got time.
You've got to get back-to-back stops. I mean, you can't allow easy transition buckets to happen, and then each opportunity that you have, make sure you have a great shot on goal.
Brene Alexander. Rebound by Tessa Johnson. Up ahead to Fullwiley. And Kamilla Cardoso is fouled by Sellers.
Now, some players come from high school and have never played with a player that is the length of Kamilla Cardoso. Fullwiley doesn't have the shot, but the presence of mind of knowing that she's got her center running behind her and is able to deliver the pass.
Kamilla Cardoso 6'7". I think Fullwiley is figuring out what Raven Johnson has known for the past 7 years that they've played together, is that it's fun just to throw the basketball up and Kamilla goes and gets it.
She knows where the money is.
Yeah.
You know, go to the high percentage shot, which is inside, throw it up in the air, and Cardoso will go get it.
Now, what was interesting, though, was this summer when Kamilla was playing for her national team for Brazil in the FIBA AmeriCup. Brazil beat the United States, and Raven Johnson, her roommate and longtime friend, was a point guard for the United States. And Kamilla told us, you know, I thought maybe Raven would just throw me the basketball.
I bet you Raven had to have some discipline because she's so used to throwing it to Kamilla of going, okay, we're not on the same team in this tournament.
Well, remember last year when Raven Johnson had to start.
Yes.
And she was disappointed because she liked to play with Kamilla.
Yeah, because they were a tandem that came off the bench together. It's like, okay, throwing the ball to Aliyah Boston, you know, that's not that bad.
Yeah, that's the 4th foul on Cardoso. Jump ball, possession arrow to South Carolina. Cheyenne Sellers was trying to drive in and found herself in a double team. Watkins will replace Cardoso. Takes a seat with 12 points, 5 rebounds.
What I've seen from South Carolina is when Dawn Staley goes to her bench, yet again, in another season, she didn't lose anything. She can even get better. They have 32 points off the bench.
This is a team that last year was first in the nation. They averaged 36 points off the bench. Watkins' putback won't go. Putback number 2 does. And she's fouled.
I love how Watkins just she's got that second jump. She has that ability. She goes and gets the offensive rebound, shoots it, and then if it doesn't go in, she's in position to go right back up and finish the deal.
Allie Kubak picks up her 4th foul, so Faith Masonis replaces her. Shakia Brown-Turner on the floor with 4 fouls as well for Maryland. Raven Johnson was by herself in the corner. And Maryland calls timeout. 8:01 to play, South Carolina up. Carolina up 23. Want to take you back to that last three-pointer by Raven Johnson in the corner.
Everybody scouts to stop South Carolina's points in the paint. So when the ball goes inside to Ashlyn Watkins, Raven Johnson is wide open in the corner. She is a three-point threat. You've got to guard her. You can't give her that much time. That's automatic.
South Carolina has tied last year's season high with 10 three-pointers. That was against Charleston Southern. They're shooting 53% from behind the arc. But look, Maryland is shooting 56% from behind the arc.
Yeah, they've made the same amount of threes. The difference is South Carolina's points in the paint. They're winning that battle 40-22.
Don't forget, coming up after this game at the top of the hour, number 2 UConn and NC State, Paige Beckers and company on display here on ABC.
And later on ESPN, you got Indiana and Stanford gonna meet up. I swear this is like November. This is March and November.
I was gonna say, this is November. Third foul on Bree McDaniel.
Ashlyn Watkins starts the break. Tessa Johnson finishes it.
Tessa Johnson already 11 points. Was the Minnesota Gatorade Player of the Year, the number 25 overall player in this year's class. Part of that number 2 ranked recruiting class for South Carolina. It's a 10-0 run for the Gamecocks. McDaniel has an open lane, but can't put it through. Kitts up ahead to Fullwiley. Taken away by Pow Pow. Kitts, short. Sellers somehow got out of there. She was all covered up. Renee Alexander, no. And there's a foul on Tessa Johnson. Well, coming up next, we mentioned it, number 2 UConn taking on NC State in Raleigh. And then on ESPN, Indiana and Stanford at 5 Eastern.
Mackenzie Holmes for the Indiana Hoosiers made a decision to come back. So we'll see 2 great bigs in Mackenzie Holmes and Cameron Brink going head to head.
And their numbers from last year. Again, that's at 5 o'clock on ESPN.
Been able to see both those players playing early, both post players moving extremely well. They're versatile, active posts. It's gonna be fun to watch them go against each other.
Riley Nelson's shot is off. Watkins in stride. Milaysia Fulwiley hit her. She's got the assist. It's a 12-0 run for Carolina. And Johnson whistled for the foul.
Fullwiley has got a bag of tricks. You see South Carolina on the menu, you better order it up to be able to watch this young lady play.
The no-look pass.
No look, going behind the back. The reverse layup, layout. It's almost a gymnastics move, dismount.
All the things. The Yurchenko full. Peck has no idea what that is.
Yes, I do. That's a gymnastics move.
Yeah, good job.
I'm in the right sport.
Baseline from Cheyenne Sellers. That puts her over 20 points. She's at 21.7 rebounds.
And one thing Brenda Miller looked at was this season, the challenging early season that they have.
Brenda Freeze.
Brenda Freeze. Yes. Brenda Fries talked about the challenging schedule that they have early this season. It's really tough for her freshmen to get experience, so she's relying a lot. Where South Carolina, Dawn Staley's freshmen, they're getting a lot of experience.
And Brenda Fries is going to call timeout after Milaysia Fulwiley hits the 3. South Carolina up 94-65. She's been doing all kinds of coaching and cheering, talking about Aliyah Boston over here on the sideline. But we want to talk about Chloe Kitts. First career double-double for Kitts. And we've been so impressed with what she's brought to the 4 position.
Well, she has shown the versatility of her game, the mid-range that she has. She's done a terrific job of running into transition. But I like this play right here. This is a player that is young but knows how to step into gaps and then to stay on the glass. Her tenacity and the work she's put in the weight room to be able to go up and finish through contact. Working the glass is going to really bring a lot of praise, catch the attention of Dawn Staley when you put in work like that.
13 points, 10 rebounds, both career highs. Obviously limited playing time last year when she joined mid-year for the South Carolina program. The rebound, the putback for Allie Kubek, who's on the floor for Maryland right now with 4 fouls.
There's an area that South Carolina at times had problems with going against a zone. This season, they look very composed and ready for it.
It helps when you can hit 11 three-pointers, too. Into the paint, the pass from Cardoso to Bree Hall.
The inexperienced players, though, understanding where to flash, where to be in the gaps of the zone has played off huge for the Gamecocks.
They'll whip it around to Brene Alexander. And Cheyenne Sellers is down right now for Maryland. Sellers down on the other end of the floor. She's up now, but favoring that left leg.
Injuries were an issue for Maryland last season, and that's, you hope that she is okay.
Yeah. Kind of drag that left foot. She is the player that makes this Maryland team go. 21 points, 8 rebounds for her today as the training staff takes a look at Cheyenne Sellers, who is obviously in some pain.
It looked like somebody stepped on her. I couldn't really tell.
Yeah. They're taking her back to the locker room now. Brenda Fries told us Cheyenne Sellers, she's grown into that player that now she's making those wow plays every day. In practice, in games, she has become that All-American player.
Well, that's what you get from All-Americans, that they bring that every day, something that just makes you go, oh, my goodness.
Swish! 4 3-pointers for Te-Hina Paopao. Jakia Brown-Turner misses. Inside to Kubek. Bree Hall almost took out Natasha Curry, or one of our officials.
Hey, Curry, she's built though.
She's ready.
She's got the strength.
Always
she
ready.
was ready to really to absorb that contact.
Sakima Walker, the transfer from Northwest Florida State, comes in for South Carolina, along with Ja.
Dawn Staley was quick to say, look, this is not a rebuilding season, because she had a lot of confidence in the talent returning and the new talent coming in.
Fullwiley. Full highlight.
Look, there's going to be a problem in South Carolina. They already just about sell out every game, but when the plays like this from Milaysia Fullwiley, as L. Duncan says, Fullwiley,
Yeah.
everybody in South Carolina is going to want to come watch this young woman play.
South Carolina, through 2 games now, has put up 100 points on 2 ranked opponents.
And that's why I say South Carolina's got to rise to the #1 spot in that AP poll.
They beat number 10 Notre Dame on Monday in Paris, 100-71, and they are up now 104-69 here with about 3 minutes to go. So we talked about, you've called it not a rebuild, but a remodel for South Carolina.
Renovation.
A renovation, excuse me.
Yes.
What is the difference you're seeing watching them in person now from last year?
From last year, the confidence of shooting the 3-ball. The thing that they have been very similar with is they just can, Dawn Staley can keep going to her bench and go, okay, I'm going to put this one in, I'm going to put that one. So they still have depth. But I think that not only do they have threats from the 3-point line, they have players that are confident in not only taking the shot, but making the right decision. Do you shoot the ball or do you get the ball inside?
Sakima Walker at the free throw line. Well, Thursday night, you can catch this South Carolina team again. Women's basketball continues. They'll face Clemson. Coverage begins at 7 Eastern, 6 Central on the SEC Network and the ESPN app.
The SEC, when that SEC season rolls around, South Carolina meets LSU. A team I think everybody needs to keep an eye on, Texas A&M. Ole Miss in the mix, Tennessee and the Lady Vols.
Took a couple of tries, but Sanaya Fagan puts it through. 7 players for South Carolina are in double figures.
7.
7.
It's pretty impressive against the number 14 team in the country. That's why I say the AP poll now has to adjust. I don't think South Carolina is number 6 in the country. If they don't move to number 1 or 2, there's a problem.
Faith Masonis at the free throw line. Fans are cheering because if an opponent misses 2 free throws back-to-back in the 4th quarter, they get free Chick-fil-A. And they seem excited about that.
Well, they're gonna have to wait till tomorrow.
This is true. Sakima Walker is fouled. Walker back to the line. She was the JUCO Player of the Year last season, averaged 16.7 points per game, 8.2 rebounds, had 13 double-doubles for Northwest Florida State. Before that, started her career 2 seasons at Rutgers.
She's coming off winning a national championship in the junior college, so she knows how to win. Got the right attitude coming to South Carolina.
Knocks her free throws down. Under 2 to go. Nelson with the quick fire. This time for the free throw line. It'll stay with Maryland.
Over here.
was hit away by Fullwiley. Handing it off to Sanaya Jaw.
Future's bright for the Gamecocks.
Bosonis cutting across the lane. Look, don't doubt it though. Maryland has got a lot of talent. You hope that Cheyenne Sellers is okay. She is back on the Maryland bench right now, so that's a good sign after she went down with shaken up.
Yeah, Maryland's going to be a force to reckon with. Yeah, the issue is the size. They can shoot the basketball. They've got the length, and they have to have time to let their young players and newcomers really develop that chemistry to come together. But as every Maryland team does, when it comes postseason, when it comes the end of the regular season, they're usually playing their best basketball.
Yeah, these two teams met in the Elite Eight last year, and Maryland has to turn around, and on Thursday they go to UConn. So you play South Carolina, and then you play UConn back-to-back.
Welcome to the big leagues.
They've been there. They know. They love a tough schedule.
Go ahead, I got your shooter. Go ahead. 24, you're my shooter.
And the Big Ten doesn't get any easier either. When you have Iowa, you've got Indiana, Ohio State, Illinois,
Yeah.
Michigan.
You can name every team in the Big Ten?
Just about. I mean, that's the thing, is the level of competitive teams, elite teams in the Big Ten has increased, and a lot of that has to do with Maryland coming to the Big Ten. I believe that the Big Ten became even more athletic, had a bigger focus on defending, trying to take away shooters. So you got to get shooters that can really score against that athleticism, and that has made these teams very competitive.
So they'll use a possession arrow here, and it goes to Maryland. What a home opener it has been for South Carolina. Shooting 52% from the field. More impressively, 50% from three. They have hit 12 three-pointers today. Dumbuya is fouled.
As you talked about, 7 players for South Carolina have hit double figures.
Led by Pow Pow with 14.
You got Watkins off the bench with 11 rebounds. And Chloe Kitts in her first full season with South Carolina.
With a double-double.
I mean, she has put in work. .7 seconds. And the crowd in Columbia got the show they wanted. South Carolina scores its most points since November of 2020. 114-76. Dominated on the glass, dominated in the paint, and then added the three-point shot to the recipe.
7 players in double figures for the Gamecocks today. They are 2-0 with 2 ranked wins on the season. Back to the studio with Elle and Drea.